lights, camera, podcast. This is the Silver Screen Sessions podcast with your host, Pete. Your fortnightly dose of movie talk, reviews, and all things film. From blockbusters to hidden gems, Pete will be breaking down what's worth watching, what's overrated, and everything in between. So grab your popcorn, take your seats, and let's roll the reel.
Welcome back to the Silver Screen Sessions podcast, the show where cinema meets storytelling and every film tells us something about who we are. I'm Pete, and today we're charting a course back through space, time, and, believe it or not, the Pacific Ocean. Yes, we're diving into one of the most unexpected, uplifting, and beloved entries in the science fiction cinema, Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home from 1986. Now, if you told someone in the early 80s that Star Trek would one day make a blockbuster about saving humpback whales, they'd probably look at you like you'd just been assimilated by the Borg. But here we are, and somehow it's glorious. This movie brought humour, heart and environmental awareness to a franchise best known for phases and philosophy. It's the rare sci-fi film where the stakes are high, but the tone is light, and the message is beautifully human. So let's engage warp drive, slingshot around the sun, and journey back to where science fiction meets compassion. So the story, time travel, tension, and a tale of two whales. Let's set the scene. The year's 2286. After the events of Star Trek III: The Search for Spock, the crew of the USS Enterprise, or what's left of it, are on their way back to Earth aboard a stolen Klingon bird of prey. They're fugitives facing trial for disobeying Starfleet orders and destroying their own ship to save Spock. But before they can even return home, Earth faces an existential threat. A mysterious alien probe emitting powerful signals that disrupt the planet's atmosphere, vaporize the oceans, and shut down global power. Starfleet can't communicate with it, and the planet's dying fast. Spock quickly deduces the signal is directed not at humans, but at humpback whales, extinct in their century. The probe's call goes unanswered, and Earth's survival depends on one wild solution: go back in time, find two whales, and bring them to the future to respond. It sounds absurd, but this is where the Voyage Home shines. The absurdity becomes the charm. The crew executes a daring slingshot maneuver around the sun, a classic Trek move first used in the original series, and crash lands in 1986 San Francisco. Now, this elite 23rd century team has to navigate parking tickets, public transport, and punk rockers. Kirk and Spock track down Dr. Gillian Taylor, played by Catherine Hicks, a passionate marine biologist working with two whales, George and Gracie. Meanwhile, Scotty, Bones, and Sulu hustle to build a whale tank out of the 20th century materials, and Chekhov, well, he gets captured by the US Navy while asking for nuclear wessels. It's chaos, it's hilarious, and it's the most human Star Trek film ever made. By the end, the crew saves the whales, saves Earth, and returns home to face judgment, only to be rewarded with a new ship, the Enterprise A. It's the perfect feel-good ending for a story about cooperation, courage, and compassion. So the cast, the crew reunited and reinvigorated. Let's talk about the cast then, because The Voyage Home captures the Star Trek ensemble at their absolute best. William Shatner as Captain James T. Kirk is in top form. Confident, charming, and genuinely funny. There's an ease to his performance that shows how well he knows this character. Kirk isn't just a hero here, he's a leader navigating cultural shock with pure charisma. Leonard Nimoy, both in front of and behind the camera, is extraordinary. As Spock, he balances logic with emerging emotion following his resurrection in The Search for Spock. Watching him struggle to reconnect with his humanity gives the film its emotional core. His deadpan delivery of lines like, "One damn minute, Admiral," or "They like you very much, but they are not the hell your whales," are pitch perfect. DeForest Kelly as Dr. Bones McCoy is always the soul of the crew. His mix of aspiration and warmth, especially in the scenes like his outrage at 20th century surgery, brings humour and heart. Then there's the rest of the crew. Nichelle Nichols as Uhura, graceful and quick-thinking. George Takei as Sulu, cool, competent, and proud of his brief moment behind the helicopter controls. Walter Koenig as Chekhov, hilariously misplaced in Cold War America, hunted for espionage after getting injured. And James Doohan as Scotty, delivering comic gold as he tries to trade 23rd century technology for 20th century plexiglass. And Catherine Hicks as Dr. Gillian Taylor deserves special mention. She grounds the film emotionally. Her compassion for the whales and a gradual trust in Kirk mirror the audience's own leap of faith into the story. Every character gets their moment to shine, a true ensemble piece, and one of the reasons the film works so well. So behind the scenes, how a whale saves Star Trek. Behind the camera, the Voyage Home is just as fascinating. After the search for Spock brought the series back from the brink, Paramount wanted something lighter. The last two films had been intense: death, resurrection, betrayal. Leonard Nimoy, now directing again, said, "Let's give them a laugh. Let's make a movie about hope." Nimoy worked with producer Harve Bennett to craft a story that had no villain. Instead, the enemy is humanity's own short-sightedness, our environmental neglect and extinction of species. Paramount executives were skeptical. A Star Trek movie with no explosions? But Nimoy held firm. He wanted a story that would make people smile and think. Shooting took place largely on location in San Francisco and Monterey, with real city crowds, many of whom had no idea they were in a Star Trek film. The cast often improvised around real people, which gives the movie that authentic, slightly chaotic energy. The whales, George and Gracie, weren't real, though you'd swear they were. The production team built full-scale animatronic models that swam with eerie realism. Industrial Light and Magic handled the effects, and their work was so convincing that the environmental groups contacted Paramount to ask how they trained the whales. One fascinating behind-the-scenes tidbit: Eddie Murphy was originally approached to star as a scientist obsessed with UFOs who helps the crew. He was a huge Trek fan, but he turned it down to make The Golden Child. In hindsight, Murphy regretted missing out, and the role was reimagined as Dr. Taylor. And that time travel sequence, the slingshot around the sun, was achieved using a combination of practical miniatures and early digital compositing. It still looks remarkably good today. So, environmental message, a warning wrapped in humour. While The Voyage Home is often remembered for its comedy, its core message is deeply serious, and, frankly, more relevant today than ever. By the mid-1980s, environmentalism was becoming a growing concern, and Nimoy, a lifelong nature lover, wanted to use Star Trek's platform to say something meaningful. The extinction of the whales is symbolic. If we destroy the natural world, we may destroy ourselves in ways we cannot predict. The probe isn't evil, it's simply trying to communicate. Humanity's ignorance of its own planet becomes the danger. There's something poetic about the fact that, in a franchise obsessed with the future, this film's salvation lies in the past. It's a call to take responsibility for the planet, wrapped in humour, adventure, and optimism. And decades later, that message hits harder than ever. So humour, humanity, and heart. What makes The Voyage Home timeless isn't just its message, it's how human it feels. This is the only Star Trek film where there's no phaser fight, no villain speech, and no epic space battle. Instead, we get culture-class comedy. Kirk saying, "Well, double dumbass on you." Spock nerve pinching a punk rocker on the bus. Scotty trying to talk to a 1980s computer. Hello, computer. But beneath the humour, there's a layer of tenderness. These characters, often seen as larger than life, are suddenly walking among us. They're strangers in a world, and yet they represent the best of what we could be: curious, kind, united. It's science fiction at its most optimistic, not warning us about alien invasions, but reminding us that humanity's greatest challenge is itself. So the sound of the future and the past. So let's talk about the soundtrack. Composed by Leonard Rosenman, the score is bright, playful, and unlike any other Star Trek history. It abandons the militaristic fanfares for something more whimsical and celebratory, perfectly matching the film's lighter tone. You can hear echoes of Rosenman's works on The Lord of the Rings, 1978, and Ralph Bakshi's The Hobbit. His use of brass and strings feels almost classical, but with a 20th century flair. And let's not forget the sound design, the whale songs, the hum of the probe, and the bustling soundscape of 1980s San Francisco, all blend into something immersive and distinct. So the reception, a critical and cultural success. When The Voyage Home hit theatres in November 1986, it was a massive success. Critics loved it. The New York Times called it the warmest and funniest of the Star Trek films. Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars, praising its heart, humour and intelligence. Audiences agreed. It became the highest grossing Star Trek film up to that point, earning $133 million worldwide. It even picked up 4 Oscar nominations for sound effects editing, cinematography and music score. More importantly, it proved that Star Trek didn't have to be dark or cerebral to succeed. It could be hopeful and light-hearted without losing its soul. So how does Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home hold up today? Honestly, brilliantly. It's a film about empathy disguised as time travel comedy. It's clever, compassionate and endlessly quotable. The pacing is tight, the humour lands and the performances are some of the best in the series. It's also one of the rare films that transcends its franchise. You don't have to be a Trekkie to love it. It's accessible, uplifting and timeless. If The Wrath of Khan is the series' emotional high point, The Voyage Home is its heart. My rating, 9.5 out of 10. Not just great Trek, great cinema. And that's Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, the sci-fi classic that made us laugh, think and care about our planet just a little more. It's proof that even in a galaxy full of warp drives and wormholes, the most important story is still right here on Earth. Thanks for listening to the Silver Screen Sessions podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share and leave a review. It helps more movie lovers find the show. Next time, we're trading in spaceships for sky convicts. That's right, we're strapping in for Con Air from 1997, where Nicolas Cage, John Malkovich and a plane load of maniacs take action cinema to new altitudes. Until then, live long, prosper and remember, sometimes saving the future means protecting the present.